Okay, looking at shadows. So isometric shadows. What you need to start with is you need to have some form of isometric shape. So yeah, you guessed it. We're going to go with, actually, let's go a little bit higher up for the purpose of this. We're going to have an isometric cube. Let's start around here. I'm going to go a little bit slower, try and make sure that this one is accurate. Okay, so there's your isometric cube, roughly. From there, you need a light source, and we're going to go for a point light. Okay, I'd recommend with all isometric shadows, point lights are quite good. If you imagine the sun as kind of like a directional light, it's a much larger diffused light. The shadow is quite diffused, as I've just said, so it spreads out more. Whereas a point light is a bit more accurate. That's things like a lamp in your study or your bedroom or room, living room. So point light, let's have it from up here, and then imagine that this box is sitting on a plane. Okay, it's quite hard to understand where that plane is, but maybe the flooring, I don't know, is somewhere about here. And imagine that is where that light is standing from. That's going to help us to understand where our shadows go. So we're going to take, let's go with all four corners and see how we get on. Okay, so we're going to take these top four corners to start with, and we are going to be basically just drawing an imaginary line that's not actually imaginary through those corners, like so. Try and make sure that they're as straight as possible. Okay, those are not bad. So we've got one line going back here, and then these ones here. And then from the base, we're doing exactly the same thing through this corner, through this corner, through this corner. There would be, obviously, the back face of this through that corner there. So let's do that one first. Let's take this corner. Straighter your lines are, the better your shadow will be. And then these corners are going to be quite tricky here. So from there, maybe a little bit confusing with lots of lines, but we'll work through this together. Let's start with this point going through this corner and therefore this vertex here. So point goes to this corner, and this corner from this point is going through here, where those two lines meet. So this line has gone through this vertical part and meets this line that goes through this same vertical line. It meets there. So we can mark that. The next one, this top corner, this line goes through this point and it's going somewhere over here. And then from this point, going through this same vertex, goes and it's going to meet about there. Okay, so vertex to vertex. This front vertex, okay, so this bottom line goes through this one and it's going off in here. This top one goes through this vertex and it's going off over here. So it actually meets all the way somewhere over there. And then finally, this vertex, this one and this one at the back, this line is going through here, this line is going through here, and it meets back here. Confusing, potentially. I hope it's not too confusing. Let's use some different colors. Okay, so this yellow vertex, yellow point, this line has gone and met there with this line coming through here. This next one is an orange vertex here to here. Oh, why have I just done that? That's so silly. You know what I'm doing. That's a yellow line there. This orange one coming through here and it's meeting. This one goes through there and this is meeting there. We've got our green at the back. So that point is a vertex. This one, as we said, was going, where is that one going? It's going along and down here. And this point from there, going through that vertex, comes and meets there. And then finally, sorry, this is a little bit tedious. We've got that blue and that blue. That blue goes through here. It's dotting, it's meeting along here. And then this blue from the base floor point has gone and it's meeting there. Okay, and that is how we get all of our points done. Not quite done. Basically, all we need to do now is connect those two together. So I'm going to connect that up. Going to connect that section up over there. I'm going to connect this section up over here, like this. This line actually should meet where this floor point is going along there, and then this line should meet where this floor point is going along there, okay? And we obviously don't draw on the cube because that is a solid piece that we would not be able to draw on. So I can quickly outline this to make it stand out a little bit better after all these different lines. Okay, so there's our isometric cube. Here's our shadow. From there, we can then make this a little bit darker. This is the outside of our shadow. That's awful. This point back here, this point going here like so. And then all you're going to be doing is shading this in. Now again, I'm going to do this super fast. You would obviously take your time because you care a lot more. But you can see how very quickly, you have this point down here as well, you have got a nice shadow that is shaded in. You can then rub over these side points just to tidy it up a little bit so it doesn't look completely budget. And then we have our shadow. Now, of course, if you've got a light coming from here, this part would also be in shade. So you need to think about how your product is going to be in shade. This side is also going to have a little bit of shade in it, etc. Okay, so that is the very basics of shadows. Thinking about your top line, so the top shadow point, points on the top face are where the lines go through. Your bottom point, where the lamp would be standing from, is where on the bottom face your lines go through. Where those meet, draw your X, connect it all up, and then you have a nice isometric point shadow. Okay, it's a little bit tricky, it takes a bit of time. Rewatch this video if you're confused, put it in slow motion, and ignore my silly orange lines there.